Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. A few weeks ago, I had ended a video with this date, and I allowed my viewers, as well as anybody who stumbled upon my video, to comment and to go poking around on the web to see if they could make the connection as to why this date appears to be important. When you look back, believe it or not, it was a slow day in the news. Can you believe that there was a time that practically nobody had heard about Meghan Markle? I wish somehow we could gladly go back to this time, a time before Meghan Markle was shoved in our face every single day, a time where there was no drama with the royal family, and all was well with life in general before the woke mob started canceling people and took over. This date is important, though, and I hope that you stay till the end in order to understand why this was important. There has been a lot of talk going around over the last few days that Harry allegedly has been blue lighted, aka hospitalized, aka put into a mental facility. At this moment, I don't have any evidence of that. Many of you have asked me if I had any information around it. All I can say is that the data that I have seen appears to have come from an article back in 2020. This is the only thing that I recall that was discussed about having some type of breakdown. And what I've seen being circulated recently, it does look like it is the same cover. So I'm not going to touch this story until I have more concrete information that can be backed and substantiated. So for now, I hope it's just a rumor, but the way things are going, anything is possible. But it did get me thinking again about a topic that I just can't get on board with around Meghan Markle. I do not believe that she was about to unalive herself. I also don't believe that she was not able to get help. And I'm going to take a page out of Prince Harry's book and say that I have suspicions that Meghan Markle was lying about being suicidal, but it's not me to prove if that is true. It really would be on Meghan and Harry to provide that evidence. So I'm just going to throw it back into their court, just like how Prince Harry threw it back into the Mirror Group's court in order to prove that they didn't hack his phone. So we're going to play that game. I've also been fixated on why her mother chose not to step in and help her daughter if she was allegedly about to go off the edge. How many of you remember that back in October of 2019, Meghan and Harry went on their African tour in which they dropped the bombshell that Meghan wasn't okay, and apparently she had been struggling with royal life, and nobody asked her if she was okay. Well, around the same time, actually the end of September of 2019, Meghan's mom had been raising money for a 5K run that she was doing in support of, you want to say, unaliving yourself prevention in Los Angeles. It is well known that Meghan's mom is no stranger to the Didi Hirsch Unaliving Yourself Center, having worked there as a social worker until just days before her daughter's wedding to Prince Harry. So, crying these fake crocodile tears on the Netflix show doesn't really jive with not knowing how to help her, considering that the specific place that you worked at was specialized in unaliving yourself prevention. I'm having a hard time wanting to buy this snake oil. So this opened up actually a Pandora's box. So as I was researching more about this 5K run that Meghan's mom did, I stumbled upon her donation page for raising this money. Now, I'm not questioning the legitimacy of raising the funds and it going to this actual center. I'm actually now putting into question the people who have donated. Sunshine Sachs. Thanks for trusting us with all your PR needs. See you soon. What? Meghan's mom was also represented by Sunshine Sachs? Now, we all know what Sunshine Sachs has done with Meghan's brand and who was working behind it to set up some of these campaigns. So Doria was also a part of this? Very interesting. Samantha, if you're listening and if you watch this channel, Please make a note of that. The donation under Sunshine Sachs? Justice for Alvin Azell Raglan? Never forget? What is that supposed to mean? Wasn't that Doria's father? Now, I've heard multiple stories about the house in question that Meghan's mom lives in currently, as well as the mystery around this man's death. I haven't done any research on it to know what exactly happened, so I can't really comment. All I can say is I just know that this man was Doria's father, and somehow there was some type of legal battle over the house after he died. There's been a lot of mystery as to where Meghan's mother was for a good 6 to 10 years while Meghan was growing up. If we go back to Tom Bower's book, he writes, just before her 9th birthday in 1990, Meghan's life changed. Doria announced that she had started Distant Treasures, a clothing and jewelry business. She would need to travel to markets across the country. Somewhat puzzled, Thomas never quite understood why Doria would be away for 3 weeks, but he didn't complain and agreed to take full responsibility for their daughter. So, just to keep the timeline straight, Samantha Markle didn't move into this duplex with her dad and Meghan until like around 1993. I have to believe Samantha when she says she really didn't know where Doria went. My guess is that she probably assumed that Doria was busy building this Distant Treasures company. So, being the curious person that I am, I started to look into the business Distant Treasures. There's not that much of a footprint aside from this photo that claims that this was the location of Distant Treasures before it got taken over by a mattress company. So, my next step, logically, was to look into the business insolvency. And sure enough, I have found some data that has allowed me to expose a few things and draw some conclusions. So, Meghan's mom filed for Chapter 7 December 3rd, 2002. Interestingly enough, when you go to access the records, since they are supposed to be public, all of these documents have been restricted. What I find interesting is at the very end of this list, you see the last date, April 22nd, 2003, the case is closed. No more activity. Until the day after it was announced that Meghan was dating Harry, another entry was put into the database. Could this have been Buckingham Palace getting these documents sealed? It's possible. Could this be what Tom Bower was alluding to? It says, Meghan had successfully suppressed the truth about her mother. In turn, Doria was ordered not to say a word. That appeared to include not making the slightest facial expression. Doria was about to participate in one of Windsor's greatest theatrical performances. Some would say a hapless royal family hijacked by Hollywood. Honestly, this is the biggest con of the century. The only other information that was included in the filing was the list of creditors. And when you look down the list, you see that the IRS is mentioned twice. One for insolvency, and the other one is just the regular office, I believe. So that had me thinking, could there have been some type of tax shenanigans going on here? So what I did next was check another database to find out if there were any kind of criminal court cases. And sure enough, 5 entries pop up for Meghan's mom. The ones highlighted in yellow are cases that Meghan's mom had brought forward to take people to court. So we're not going to really look at those because they're in small claims court. We're going to pay attention to the red and the green. So before I get into it, let me just put this disclaimer out now. I don't know the court system. I'm just accessing a public database to which everyone is welcome to do their own research and come to your own conclusion. I am coming to my conclusion after looking and reading the information that I'm showing you. So let's talk about the one highlighted in red. The case type is an unlawful detainer, UD residential. So what does that exactly mean? Eviction and unlawful detainer. Eviction is a legal process by which a landlord may terminate a tenant's right to remain on the rental property. Ultimately, the tenant may be forcibly removed from the property by the sheriff or other law enforcement officials. However, doing so requires a formal court order. A tenant can be evicted for many reasons. Typically, evictions can take place where the tenant is in violation of one or more provisions of the lease agreement. Valid reasons for eviction may include failure to pay rent on time, harboring pets or persons not authorized to reside at the premises under the lease, and illegal or criminal activity on the property. So, what is an unlawful detainer? An unlawful detainer is a legal way for a landlord to evict a tenant. It requires a special court process and can move quickly through the court system. Unlawful detainer cases are often used if one of the following occurs: the tenant does not leave after the lease ends, rent is not paid, and the lease is canceled by the landlord. The first step is for the landlord to file a complaint or petition with the local court and pay a filing fee. The renter must be served with the court documents. In some jurisdictions, tenants are entitled to a jury trial if they ask for one. In jury trials, the jury determines whether the tenant should be evicted. Notice requirement and court filing. A landlord cannot forcibly evict a tenant without proper notice. The landlord must provide written notice to the tenant of their default. If the tenant does not fix the default within a reasonable amount of time, the landlord must file for a formal court eviction proceeding. This will start the eviction process. Courts commonly refer to eviction actions as forcible entry and detainer or unlawful detainer actions. The legal theory is that the landlord alleges the tenant unlawfully continues to have use and possession of the rental property, and the landlord seeks the assistance of the court to have the tenant removed. So it looks like Doria got evicted, but the question is, for what? Was it not paying her rent on time or for something else? So this was in 1997, which means that Meghan was still living with Thomas full time. So now the plot thickens, and I want to talk about number one, the decedent's estate. So here's where I need your help in reading. This. Meghan's mom had filed with the courts to petition in handling, I don't know how this works with estates, but handling the affairs of her late father and I guess owning the current house that she's in right now. And this is where the date of April 30th, 2016 comes up, listed under court supervision terminated. I was hoping someone was going to be able to connect the dots and help me out because I couldn't really provide a definitive answer on if court supervision terminated meant house arrest or if it meant something else. So, court supervision is similar to supervised probation. The convicted person is allowed to remain free going about their daily business, but they must abide by conditions that a judge imposes, such as payment of fines, performing public service work, entering alcohol or drug treatment, and entering counseling. The exact conditions that the person must follow depends on the law of the state in which the person is sentenced, the offense of which they have been convicted, and the circumstances surrounding the infraction or misdemeanor. It also depends on the law of the state in which they have been charged. Court supervision is similar to what is referred to as pretrial diversion in some states. A pretrial diversion program operates in much the same way. It is an option for criminal defendants as an alternative to jail in certain states. The person who agrees to participate in a diversion program must meet certain conditions, such as attending a treatment program and paying court fees. Pretrial diversion has the goal of promoting behavioral change through counseling within the community. Pretrial diversion programs are usually available to people who are facing their first criminal offense. The offense would have to be a relatively minor one, and there would have to be a diversion program available in the county in which the person is charged. If a person completes pretrial diversion successfully, they would not have a criminal conviction on their record. Over the years, there have been many rumors running around that Meghan's mom had a run in with the law. There has been no evidence of that I could find aside from these records that are listed. Clearly, there has been a scrub and sealing off information about Meghan's mom. She definitely has a record, as you can see, but the whole thing is, what is it exactly for? Is it for financial issues, which I'm leaning towards that side, that it does look like she had a bit of trouble? But then I'm also leaning towards, why would she have been evicted in 1997? Could it be something to do with something illegal? Could it be that she was on some type of house arrest and is why she couldn't watch Meghan and take care of her, because she couldn't come and go as she pleased? Or could I be reading this wrong and this have something to do with the estate? I'm not really sure because I don't deal in this area, and this is just me looking as a member of the public at records that are available to everyone. I did see something from the Trust and Estates section, the State Bar of California, where apparently the law requires the administration of decedents' estates to be supervised by courts unless the decedent planned in advance to avoid it. I don't know what that exactly means, but if there's anyone out there watching this that does specialize in this type of legalities, please definitely chime in down below and let us all know. Definitely don't want to be spreading any kind of misinformation, but I found this quite intriguing that this was put up there. And when you look at the date, April 30th, 2016, I mean, this is the year that Meghan had announced that she was dating Prince Harry. So we all have talked back and forth about when exactly did she meet Prince Harry. Some are saying that she met him in 2015. I believe that she had been talking to him way before July. So could it be that this was all in the works behind the scenes, getting ready to announce Meghan to the world? All this cleanup and covering up? It sure does look like that to me, but perhaps this is coincidence. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's some validity in it? I definitely do see records that have been covered up, so there are some things that are being hidden from the public. Let me know your thoughts, guys. If you like this video, please help this kid out and give it a thumbs up. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
It was such a fraud.